Hi, this is the fourth session of our course on phonetics, and what we're going to do in this session is to round up the topic of vowels. We're going to revise some main ideas about vowels. We will talk extensively about schwa and weak forms in order to promote understanding of how English stress and rhythm works. And finally, we will discuss some words that may have alternative pronunciations. Okay, do you know where this picture comes from? Can you imagine?
Sesame Street.
Yes, this comes from Sesame Street, yeah. What we're going to watch is a very short clip. I'm sorry, those of you in secondary don't, maybe I'm too childish anyway. You know, Sesame Street is a show targeted at children that are learning to read and write as well, very young children. So the clip we're going to watch has to do with the pronunciation, of a particular vowel we talked about. And because maybe they exaggerated a bit, this is a vowel that might be a bit tricky for Spanish people. So because they exaggerated a bit, then it might help you remember the sound. Anyway, that's my intention, okay? Okay, do you remember, for example, the difference between this word? How would you pronounce it? Oh, you can't see. Sorry, yeah. Sorry. Okay. Okay, again, everyone? Okay, and this? This is maybe closer in standard English to a Spanish sound. Okay, Alison, how would you pronounce this one? And this? Can you do it again, please? Yeah, that's the one, yeah. This could be it, and this could be it. Yes. As I told you in the first day, as you go further up in the British Isles, this sound tends to be a bit, more close. That's why, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to repeat again. Sorry. Yeah, but then you can notice the difference between both of them. Okay. For example, everyone, how would you pronounce this? The difference is going to be the same in these two cases, okay? So this is, and this is? Yeah? Okay. And what about this one here? And? Okay. So probably, what vowel would you be using in these ones? Yeah. What I call the posh one, yeah. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so can we, Alison, sorry again. Can you pronounce these three words?
Cat, cut, cat.
Yeah. Can you note, she pronounces these Arabic, I'm sorry, can you say it again?
Art.
Yeah, but can you notice the difference in quality of a vowel? Yeah, the three of them? Yeah. Besides, I wanted to recommend, if you want to practice this a bit, or if you want to use in your lessons, whatever, Cambridge have this website which contains games to play phonetics. So if you go to this link, to this phonetics focus, you have different games. You can play phonetic hangman, for example, or you can choose which phoneme they are pronouncing, for example, very similar to exercises we do here, or some other quizzes and charts and whatever. It's a totally free website, of course, so you can go there and you can click on it if you want. Carlos was telling me about how it would be interesting to know exactly how to use your mouth to articulate particular sounds. So, for example, if you want to make an E sound or you want to make a R sound, how you have to open your mouth or close it, or where exactly you use your tongue or whatever. So, if you go to the BBC Learning English website, you have videos, you have this woman giving you examples of how to use every single sound in the phonemic chart. So she gives you examples, and you can hear her, you can watch her speak normally, and you can have a look at her mouth, because you have both cameras. So we can practice it next week, but if you want to have a look at the website, in case you need to, you're curious about one particular sound, here it is for you if you want to have a look and practice, okay? Okay, quick reminder of some things we mentioned yesterday. For example, okay, Vanessa, how do you pronounce this? You remember what we said about this? Try and do something like that. Yeah, that's probably better, okay? Okay, Joanna? Yes. Giovanna?
Wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. So try to forget about the U sound, because it's not there. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, Maria? Yeah. Are you Maria? Yeah. Yeah, come on.
Are you sure? I don't.
Oh, sorry. Okay, you have to, these last letters, forget about this. Imagine you have this. The beginning was a gracious. Gracious, okay? Alison, how would you say it?
Gracious.
Yeah? Okay, Laura?
Generous.
Okay, that's it. Marta?
Dangerous.
Exactly. So when you have this ending, think of us. Don't think of an U sound, okay? It's always the same. Okay, and David?
Nutritious.
Forget about that. That's better. So forget about this U sound. No. Nutritious. Okay, Maria? Okay. You could say it using 3 syllables, primary, or you could say primary. Okay, depending on how stressed you think that should be. Okay, and Carmen? Okay, again, forget about this and try and say something more like that. Closer to that. Yes? Alison, how would you? Yeah, but definitely forget about the U. Yeah, so something like that. In here, in this exercise, what you have to do, first, I would like you to try and identify how many schwas you can spot in here. So what you have to do, think of, in each word, where the stressed syllable is, and probably in the unstressed syllables, you will have a schwa. Okay? So just, for example, in the first word, you don't need to transcribe. Just, for example, circle the syllable where you think a schwa is going to appear, or underline it, or whatever. Okay? So I just want you first to guess, and then we will listen to Alison, and you will check and see if your answers were right or wrong. Okay? Just remember that schwa is never stressed. It's never on a stressed syllable.
It's for you. It takes a lot of time. How about a cup of tea? What are you doing tonight? What time will you arrive at Victoria? I was going to tell you. The leisure centre's closed for a private function. The airport is not far from the capital city. The book is about pronunciation. We need more financial support. You need to pay attention all of the time.
In sentence number 8, some of you were discussing the issue of from. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to read these two sentences on the whiteboard, Alison.
Where are you from? I'm from Scotland.
Can you find the difference? Yeah. Do you mind saying them again, please? I'm sorry.
Where are you from? I'm from Scotland.
When it's a question, and as we said, in this case, the preposition is left alone, you can hear it properly. From. When it's in the middle of a sentence, there's the weak version here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. When it's, when it's irrelevant, it's just, yeah. So in this case, it would be, where are you from? I'm from Scotland. Just quick. So even if you say, it's not far from the airport, far from the capital city, far is important. And in fact, the word from, you can imagine, because you always say far from. Yeah, so far from the city, far from. Yeah. Meaning and probably different spelling as well. Same sound, but different spelling, probably, and different meaning. So if you want to have a look at some more homophones in English, you have a list here on this link, if you ever want to, have a look, okay? Okay. Have you ever heard about this radio show? It's called Word of Mouth. No. Do you know what this expression means? Word of mouth. Imagine you... Okay, Alice, can you explain?
It's just sort of when something gets around because you say it to someone else and they say it to someone else. So like if there was a shop that was really good, you might find out about it because your friend said it was really good, and then her friend said it was really good. So that's kind of word of mouth that's sort of passing around. So that I don't know if that's a good example.
No, yeah. So if you watch a film at the cinema and you like it very much, so you start telling everybody, and everybody else will be telling other people. So it becomes popular because people are saying good things about it. Yeah, el boca a boca in Spanish, okay? So, Word of Mouth is the name of this BBC4 radio show. The host, and probably the writer, is an English writer called Michael Rosen. You might know him because he's a poet, he's a children's poet, and especially in British council schools, they use him a lot, we use him a lot anyway, for our literacy lessons. Yeah, it's very nice now.
Children's book, you can't go under it, you can't go over it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So if you want to watch anything by Michael Rosen, because he writes poems for children and then he performs it. So if you go to YouTube, you may find very, very interesting poems for kids and for the lessons as well. There's one I used last year called Chocolate Cake. Something happens to the chocolate cake, and in my kids loved it. My year 1 secondary kids just loved it. Anyway, so his radio show is about the English language and linguistics. So every week there's a topic they discuss. For example, surnames or the influence of French into English. So if you really, really like the language, that's a very nice show to listen to. If you don't, please don't. It's just for crazy people like myself, okay? but it's of course, it's himself and a linguist, and a Cambridge University researcher, linguist researcher. Anyway, there was one particular show of word of mouth called The Top 20 Words in English, the most popular words in English. And can you imagine what these top 20 words were? Just give me any examples. The. These kinds of things. So there were some verbs, some of these get, the, have verbs, but also definitely the, and these sort of words, these sort of function words we've been discussing at the moment that may have this weak form. But many times, most cases, you're using with a weak form. So just for you to to realize how important this issue of the strong or weak forms is. Because come on, they're the top 20 words in English, or they are among the top 20 words in English. So you're going to use them millions of times. Okay, and at the same time, I can recommend the show. It's just an excuse. Again, you can visit the link if you want at home. This was a website with tips to help people, to help English learners improve their listening comprehension skills. And there was one particular post about weak forms and expressions. And they explain about weak forms because if you are aware of that, then you can understand better. Because, as I say, you have to concentrate on the important things and maybe all the others will be blah, 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 blah. So anyway, as part of those tips to improve listening comprehension, they mention weak forms as well. So, if you want to practice this exercise, again, when you're alone at home, you can go to this website. In this case, I'm going to make the most of the fact that I have Alison here, and I'm going to ask her again to read something for us, okay? In this case, again, I'm going to ask Alison to read in her normal speaking voice. Don't think about it. Imagine, as I said, imagine you're with your friends. And I want you to concentrate on the words which I have underlined and decide if she uses a strong or a weak form. And then, if it's a strong form, think of the reasons why. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, probably most of them will be weak. I'm telling you, most of them will be weak. But some of them may be strong. So when you find a strong version, try and think of the reason why she's using a strong version. Okay? Yeah. Okay, yes.
If I take up tea. There's a Mr. Smith.
Okay, sorry. We're going to pronounce every sentence twice, and then we move on to the next. Okay, sorry.
A fancy cup of tea. A fancy cup of tea. There's a Mr. Smith to see you. There's a Mr. Smith to see you. Give me an apple, please. Give me an apple, please. One is the strong form of an. One is the strong form of man. What am I to do? What am I to do? I'm interested, I promise you. I'm interested, I promise you.
Between 6 and 7, slow down a bit.
I said speakerphones at home.
No, but just leave them time to write something.
Carry the way there. I'm interested, I promise you. I'm interested, I promise you. He broke the window and he didn't apologise. He broke the window and he didn't apologise. I'd like some bread and butter. I'd like some bread and butter. Girls are here. Girls are here. I'm not going. Oh yes you are. I'm not going. Oh yes you are. Pam is as tall as James. Pam is as tall as James. I wish I could speak French. I wish I could speak French.
As I say, most of them are weak. But for example, in number 4, I would say one is a strong form of an. Can you imagine why? To emphasize. Because we're making a contrast. One, an. You're sort of explaining something and you're making the contrast between these two words. So in this case, I would definitely use the strong version in here because we're emphasizing, we're making the contrast. In number 6, you have to imagine the conversation because this person says, I promise you, probably the other person, imagine this is speaker A, okay? So probably speaker B didn't trust the other person. And so he says, oh no, you're not interested. And that's why speaker A says, I am interested, I promise you. And we can guess that because of the I promise you. Okay, that somehow this person's making the contrast. So yeah, you have to imagine the context anyway. Yeah. In number 7, you could say it as a perfectly ordinary sentence. He broke the window and he didn't apologize. Or you could emphasize that, come on, he did something terrible, he broke the window, and, to add insult to injury, and he didn't apologize. So it depends on context, probably. But it's one of these situations where you could imagine that this is the problem, and he didn't apologize. So probably, yeah. Number 10, there's no doubt. It doesn't rely on context. Someone says, I'm not going. Oh, yes, you are. It's at the very end of a sentence, so probably that gives you enough information to know that it's left alone at the end, so you pronounce it properly. And also you have a contrast. I'm not going. Oh, yes, you are. Imagine a teenager and her mom, for example. I'm not going. Oh, yes, Missy, you are. Yeah. And for numbers 11 and 12, maybe depending on context, but on principle, you could use it in a normal, weak way. Okay? Anyway, most cases, they depend on context, probably. The objective behind all of this is just for you to be aware that you may not have to pronounce every single thing, that especially function words are very, unimportant, let's say. English stress and English rhythm somehow as if it was a mountain where you have some peaks, which are very high, and then you have some lows. So the stressed syllables are the peaks of the mountains, and then the unstressed syllables could be the lows. For those of you working in infants and primary, these are sentences that could be used in one of the phonics classes. These are the typical, very easy words that kids can start to decode. Because if you have a look, we have pat, pat, very easy to start reading. Dog, dog, okay, very easy to decode. Okay, the reason why you have this here is that, for example, when you say pat a dog, you have two content words. You have the verb, pat, you have dog. And you have something in the middle, which is going to be weak, definitely weak. Yeah? Pat a dog, a cat in a hat, a cat in a hat. So, because this is like a rap, or could be turned into a rap if you want, okay? I would like you, please don't be afraid or ashamed or anything. Just concentrate on the content words. And when you have a content word, you can either, use your fingers or you can clap your hands, you decide. So, just to get the rhythm of it. Pat a dog, cat in a hat, a sad man, pin on a map, pots and pans, dad and nan. You see what I mean? So, the strong bits will be the content words. And all the other words are going to be unstressed. Okay? Good, good, good. Okay. We're going to move on. We're going to forget about weak forms. We're going to forget about schwas for a time and everything. And what we're going to do, is have a look at words that may be pronounced in a different way, but both pronunciations are totally correct. So it's totally up to you to choose one or the other. And the first example we've got of this is this word. How would you pronounce it? Either. Exactly, we're going to play that, yeah? Okay, how would you say it, Alison? Okay, but some people say either, and both are okay. So, as some of you were saying, we're going to watch a short clip from a song that illustrates this difference. I have talked about Pronunciation Studio before, this school in London that specializes in how to pronounce, to reduce your mother tongue accent and make it towards a more neutral accent. So in their blog they have this entry with 10 words with alternative pronunciation, so you can have a look. There are words that typically appear and people always ask, but how do you say it really? How would you pronounce this one, for example? Both are accepted. How would you say it, Alison?
Often.
Apparently, the traditional pronunciation was often, with a silent T, but younger people, especially like Alison here, they have decided, come on, it's in spelling, so we're going to pronounce it. Okay, so younger generations tend to pronounce the T. So if you want to be, youngish, or if you want to be more traditional, up to you. Okay, that's at least what they say. Okay, alternative pronunciations. This has to do with British or American English. Okay, if you're British, you would say probably schedule. The sh sound. However, if you're an American, you would say schedule, probably. Okay. In your case, how would you say it?
Schedule.
Yeah. Okay. So schedule. It tends to be the British version. However, I have to say, maybe not in this word, but there are lots of articles saying that American English is invading British English as well. So who knows? Maybe in some years' time, schedule will have taken over and everyone will say schedule. I don't know. Okay.
In America, what would they say? Often or often?
I would say often, probably. More often, oftentimes. Often probably. Yeah, the often version, I think it's a British
Variation.
Yeah, a British variation. And as I say, repronouncing a letter that was left in pronunciation all those centuries ago, probably. Okay? We talked about either, you know about that. And then you have, for example, this word of French origin. So some people decide to keep the French origin, and they say garage, okay? However, most of these words that originally came from French are pronounced with this ending, so garage. Yeah. How would you say it? Yeah, I guess most people would say it that way, yeah, as I say, and lots of these originally French words are pronounced that way. If you think, for example, of marriage, one of these words we mentioned the other day, for example, everyone says marriage. There's no way you're saying, yeah, something other than that. You know that sometimes you have one word with the same spelling, but depending on where you put the stress, it has a different meaning. For example, if you think of the Guinness World record, okay? Or if you buy a... No, with music, for example, if I play in a band, we are preparing our new record. It's exactly the same, okay? When it's a noun or an adjective, okay? So you say, you have a pronunciation here, record. Remember, this comma, apparently there, indicates that this is a stressed syllable. So before the syllable is going to be stressed, you have this comma, record. Record. Doesn't matter if it's the Guinness World Record or if it's a new record by Coldplay, whatever, okay? However, when you think about the verb, the action, you say, I'm going to record. And you have a different stress pattern. The stress is on the second syllable, and also the first one is a little different. Record. Okay? As for example, if you think about record, the athletes set a new world record. Or can you record the football match, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So in this case, a different stress pattern indicates. There are some other examples of this in English, and if you click here, very nicely, very aptly called English at Home. So when you're at home, if you want, you can click on this link and you have more examples of these words that change stress patterns and change their meaning.